Okay, well today I am removing the tape from this painting, which is actually one of my favorite things to do when I make a painting like this. But I thought I'd take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about what I know about tape. So first, the border. You see this painting, this is aluminum and acrylic, aluminum leaf and acrylic on illustration board. And before I made the painting, I put a border around the paper with this yellow tape, and it's made by frog tape, and this happens to be for a delicate surface. And so what I like about that is it doesn't pull the paper up, so it seems to work real well. Now another neat thing or interesting thing that you might not know about tape is if you need to make curved lines like this right here, you can cut the tape. So you can take an 1.5-inch roll like this and cut it into thin 1-inch or 1/8 of an inch wide pieces, and that will make it possible to tape out a radius. So let's take the tape off of this painting, because that's always fun to look at when that happens, and then I'll show you how I tape out the radius to this painting over here. Now you can see I'm getting a nice clean line there, and it's not pulling the paper up. Well, I'll get this off the work table, tack it up onto the wall so I can look at it, and then we can get to work on that other painting, and I'll show you how to cut that tape. Okay, well now I'm ready to start working on this painting of a rondelle. And a rondelle is a symbol for the British Royal Air Force. And just a quick backstory, you know, a lot of people will say to me, hey, your paintings look like the sides of airplanes. And that's definitely the case. And the reason for that is my father was a pilot, and when I was a kid we spent a lot of time at air shows and at airports, and I just like the symbols, so eventually I started to paint them. And you know, when making art or when making anything, I find it's much more productive to ask yourself why not as opposed to why. So getting back to the tape, to tape out a radius, I find the green tape works really good. And what I like to do is cut it into thin strips, about 1/8 of an inch wide, maybe a little bit more, and that works really good for your radius. Now I wouldn't use it for the border, and the reason for that is I'm afraid that if I were to use the green tape, because it has more adhesion at that width, I might run the risk of pulling the paper. So I just use the green tape when I am taping out for a tight radius. So let's cut some tape and get working on this painting. To cut the tape, I first lay a piece of tape out on my cutting mat, and then I use a piece of plexiglass for my straight edge. Now you can use anything that you have, but I kind of like the plexiglass because you can see through it, so you can see what you're working on. Also, I'm taping down the plexiglass or the straight edge because I find sometimes I have a tendency to move my straight edge, and then that will ruin the cut. Once I have the straight edge in position, you simply just cut it with a razor blade. And then I like to wind the tape on an old spool, on an old tape spool, because I like to work from this spool. It's easy to work from the spool, and it's easy to store the tape on the spool. And with the tape on the spool, it's really easy to apply it to the paper. I'm just holding the spool in my right hand and working my way around the painting, guiding the tape with my left hand. Well, I finished painting the blue, and I let the paint dry for an hour or two, and now I'm removing the tape, and you can see I'm getting a really nice clean line. Now I removed all of the tape from the painting and I've got some really nice clean lines. And I wanted to mention again that this is illustration board that I'm working on, which is generally heavier than most papers, and that it has a hot pressed surface. Now, you may have heard of the terms hot pressed and cold pressed when people are talking about paper, and generally a hot press is a smooth surface, and a cold pressed paper generally has a tooth or texture. So that's just a good thing to know. Now, if you're going to work with tape on paper, it's a good idea to do a few tests first to make sure that the tape will remove without taking the surface of the paper with it. Anyway, I hope you found the video useful. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.